Morning. We're going to continue with the preface, the preamble to the Tanya. We left off with the Alter Rebbe discussing about the challenges that can be found in guiding a person to their inner truth from a book. How a book is limited to the individual that's interpreting the lessons. And the Alter Rebbe is acknowledging those challenges, but at the same time, he is now, what we're going to do today, he's now addressing those challenges. And he's explaining how even though it's a book, and yes, we are still limited to the seeker, to the soul that it's on its journey, and that soul is challenged and has a limited perspective. And still, despite that soul's limited perspective as it's reading the book, we're still going to be guided to our inner truth. And we're going to answer that with these paragraphs. All right, let's follow in. We're going now on Ach Biyodai Umakirei. It's page Daled, and I'll be posting a link. There's a link beneath the video. Ach Biyodai Umakirei Kamina Hem Kol Achad V'Achad Be'enash Sheminasenu V'Smucha Shelo Asher Diba Shalchiba Matzoi Benenu V'Gilo Lefanai Kol Telemus Libam U'Meichem B'Vadas Hashem Hatuli B'Lev Aleim B'Vadas Hashem Hatuli B'Lev. The Alter Rebbe is addressing that the book that's coming up isn't just an intellectual thesis, it's actually letters of love, of compassion and connection and empathetic guidance between him and his followers, his Chassidim, those that came to him and seeked out guidance and support in their journey, in their relationship with Hashem. And the Alter Rebbe is addressing them and saying, we have a relationship, and we had a dialogue. Aleim tzitoif milasi v'losheni eit sefer b'kuntrasim elo ha'nekraim b'shem l'kutei amarim. Upon them may my words drip, and may my tongue be a scribe's pen in these pamphlets, which are called l'kutei amarim, compilation of talks. Melukutim mipi svarim mipi seifrim Kudushi Elia Nishmas and Adam Hamo for some Metzeno Katatnim Namazin Lakiman Berkas Kurdish, Mabsina Shabbat Kurdish, Tibanif is kind of a Mehavamino Amen. The Alter Rebbe had teachers. He had, I'm just going to say names, the Maggid of Mezrich, Menachem Edel Herducker, and of course the Alter Rebbe's teacher's teacher, the Baal Shem Tov. And the Alter Rebbe received guidance from all these preceding teachers. And he is expressing that, don't worry, what I'm saying now is not just coming from myself. I'm here with a very long history and a very long foundation that is going to be applicable to our day and age, to our challenges. כצאתם שמעתם מפיהם הקדוש ביוסם פיימנו וכלומם תשובס על שאלות סרבס אשר שנו בעצם כל אנשים נסינו תמיד כל אחד ואחד לפי ארכי לפי לשיס עצס בן אפשם בעבודת השם ליז כנס וכמן גמה אוי לשיב לכל אחד ואחד על שאלות בפרטיוס וגם השחם מצויה על כן השמתי כל התשובס על כל השאלות נשמרס לאוס לכל אחד ואחד לזיקים בינינו ולהידחק אוי לכנס לדבר עמי ביחידוס כי בהן ימצא מגר לנפשי ויצא נכון לדבר על שאלות בעבודת השם ונכון יליבוי בטוח בשם גמר קביעת דיינו. It was a long one. I'm just going to summarize that a lot of the Chassidim were pushing to go into Yechidus often. And Belter was saying, don't worry. We don't need any more of this Yechidus. Yechidus is a one-on-one communal relationship where the Chassid would go in by himself and have a very open soul dialogue with the Alter Rebbe. And it was a very intimate, intense interaction. And the Alter was saying, we don't need that anymore because Alter Rebbe here had years and years, if not decades, of dialogue, of relationship with Chassidim, and he's saying, don't worry, I compiled all of your questions, and these are questions that were being asked that are very core underlying foundation of every single question that we always ask. In essence, all the questions have already been asked. And anytime anybody's asking a different question, it's always coming from a place that it's a development off of a much more core underlying philosophy. The Alter Rebbe is saying that I have compiled out all the core underlying philosophical, emotional, and challenges and questions that all of these Chassidim, these followers had, and I addressed them and I answered them. And since the questions are very core and fundamental, also the answers being provided are very core, fundamental, and are equally applicable to all. So don't worry, you don't have to go into relate to me personally because I have all the answers written here and you can apply them. But still, it's a book. The person's going to have a challenge to understand possibly these answers. So what do you do about it? So the Alter Rebbe continues. Somebody has a challenge understanding what's written. What should he do? Go to the smart guys that are around your city and ask them. Seek out mentors, counselors, therapists, people who can guide you through understanding and applying these teachings in the book. And the Alter Rebbe is saying they'll help them understand, and the Alter Rebbe is making a request to those counselors, to those mentors, not to act with false humility, but be open and be helpful to those that are seeking out help. And the Alter Rebbe is also including that through them helping out others, they will in turn be helped. Through the counselors, through mentors, helping out those approaching and seeking them for help, they themselves, those mentors and counselors, will themselves be infused with the inner wisdom to help them and help themselves. Okay, Amen. The Alter Rebbe concludes with a blessing that may it be that Mashiach will come and we won't need to have any more challenges and everything will be a lot more easier. I'm just going to summarize the rest of the paragraph. I don't need to actually read and translate. What happened was during that time of the Tanya, when the Chassidim first came, there were a lot of opponents to Chassidim because it was exposing people to a lot of much more fundamental, deeper perspectives in their relationship to Hashem, and it was very challenging. Whenever anybody's exposed to something new and different, there's a little bit of a reaction, whether is this fake, is this real? So there was a lot of questions and challenges during that time, and there were opponents called Misnagdim who created and forged all these fake versions of the Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe is now saying that because of these fake forgeries, nobody's printing this Tanya, only me, and he's requesting, okay, nobody else print this, just this is it. And this way we actually have a very accurate, secure version of the Tanya that we have today that's lasted through all these hundreds of years. So that's it with the preamble. We're going to be starting with the next class with the first chapter of Tanya. To summarize up the preamble, in essence, the Alter Rebbe is addressing that, yes, I know it's very challenging to find your guidance and your truth in a book, but don't worry, because this isn't just a book, it's actually letters of love and relationship. And it's a book that is addressing the fundamental questions asked in life and in my relationship with Hashem. So therefore this book is also the fundamental addresses and dialogue of how to come to my inner truth. That relates to that, and it's fundamental, that relates to every single individual universally. And in addition, if the learner is having challenges, communicate, talk, reach out, you're not alone. Look out for, mentors. There's always somebody there. And through people coming together and learning together, sometimes there's a saying about how our godly souls want to relate to each other and our instincts for survival don't want to relate to each other. So we want to tap into our more inner godly, calm place that is not in a state of competition, but it really is in a state of conduits with the world around us. And through tapping into that space, we're not going to be in a state of survival, and we'll be able to finally hear what the inner truth is really trying to communicate to us. All right, we'll be starting with chapter 1 next class. Thanks. Have a good day.